Well, welcome to another edition of Astros Scoop, a very special edition. I decided to switch things up this week and come on out here to the ballpark at Minute Maid Park with our radio broadcasting team. That's Robert Ford and Steve Sparks. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Well, it's been a little over a season and a half that you've been a team together in the radio booth.
Yep.
How's it going so far, Robert?
Well, I have a difficult partner to work with, but no, seriously, it's been going great. And, we get a chance to call every game. A ballpark's our office. You really can't ask for much more than that.
Steve, what's your experience been like so far?
For me, you know what, we met 3 days before we started working together, and we knew that we were going to be spending a lot of time together. And with that being said, we've seen other duos and the transition that they have to make. And for us, I think it starts with both of our love for baseball, first and foremost. Both we like to work hard and we like to prepare, so it's been a good marriage so far.
And Robert, what have been kind of the ups and downs maybe in the booth so far, or even stuff that you've seen out on the field?
Well, I think the ups have been watching a lot of this young talent finally get to the big league level. I think that has made it a lot more enjoyable, obviously. It's fun to call baseball regardless. It's always better when you have exciting players like George Springer and guys like that, and John Singleton and Jared Cozart to watch. I think that makes it a lot more fun. Certainly the downs, I think you'd have to look at the way things ended last year, obviously with the 15-game losing streak. But I feel like it's been just uphill since then and been a lot better since then.
And Steve, what have been some of the most unforgettable moments for you and some forgettable moments?
Well, for me, there was one that sticks out to me. Earlier this year, we were playing in Anaheim, and there's a right fielder for their team named Collin Cowgill. And in between innings, we used to always like to laugh about that old Will Ferrell skit where he says, "We need more cowbell." And for whatever reason, there was a home run hit over Cowgill's head, and I called him Cowbell instead of Cowgill. So it came out on air, and I knew I was just going to get ragged forever about that.
And then, Steve, how have you seen the team evolve from last season to this season?
Well, a lot of maturity, and it's helped to have guys like Scott Feldman, guys like Dexter Fowler, guys that can lead the pitchers, lead the position players a little bit, where they can teach them how to prepare each day, how to get ready to be a Major League Baseball player. It's a lot different from the minor leagues where you're playing 162 games, other teams have scouting reports on you, and you're going to have to make adjustments constantly.
And Robert, talking about this season, what have been some of your favorite parts of this season so far?
One of my favorite days was the day George Springer got called up, because we saw him in spring training the last 2 years and saw how exciting he can be and how he can impact the game in a lot of different ways. And so when he got called up, that was really an exciting day for me, and I think it was for a lot of Astros fans as well, because finally we were going to get to see Springer try and do it on the big stage. And I think he's acquitted himself well, obviously has things to learn, but certainly that was probably the biggest highlight for me thus far.
Yeah, Springer Day, April 16th. I remember that well. Such a huge day. It was like opening day all over again. And then you can't talk about this year without talking about José Altuve. Just what have you seen from him last year versus this year that he's really had another all-star caliber year season so far? And what is he doing that's giving him so much success?
Well, he's just taken it to another level. We knew what he was capable of doing the last few years, but I think this year he had an off season that he basically just dedicated himself to improving his body, improving his conditioning, and I think it's made a big difference for him. I think around this time last year started to wear down just a little bit, had a quad injury as well, but you don't see that right now. And also, too, he's not expanding his strike zone nearly as much. He's always going to be a really aggressive hitter, looking to swing early in the count, but now he's not chasing pitches as often as he was in the past, and that's made a big difference for him as well.
And we're closing out the month of July, Steve, and Chris Carter, obviously very, very hot this month, making a case to be Player of the Month. What have you seen from him? What kind of adjustments has he made to give himself such success this month?
Well, I know of one adjustment he's made this month in particular, and it's shown up on his stat lines, is his batting practice is different. And what he's doing is, usually during batting practice, you go through the line about 5 different times where you'll hit about 5 or 6 balls, sometimes 10. But with Chris Carter, what he's doing is he's hitting everything to the opposite field now during batting practice. He's not pulling any pitches. And when you pull pitches, a lot of times that'll promote some improper mechanics. And for him, he's just ingraining a really nice slot for him to get to the path of the baseball, really short and sweet right now. And he's reacting in the game to those pitches inside when he needs to. And it's just shown up. And, I'm with you. I think he's got a good chance to be Player of the Month, hitting .317 this month, 8 homers, 19 RBIs. It's hard to argue.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for him. Now, coming up this weekend, first weekend of August, very special weekend. The Astros are holding their Legends Weekend, and just reflecting back upon the past of this organization. Steve, what are maybe some of your favorite Astros players or Astros memories?
Well, one of them's absolutely, it's Lance Berkman, and they're going to have a bobblehead for him this weekend, and I think that's going to be a cool thing. I would have liked to see the mutton chops that he sported in spring training one year. Obviously, a lot of people had the nickname of Fat Elvis at one point during his career, and he talked about those jowls. When he was able to grow those sideburns out, he felt like it covered him up a little bit. So I would have liked to see them use that in the bobblehead.
And Robert, for you?
Well, one of my favorite memories growing up, I grew up in New York, and I always kept a close eye on players who were from New York City or the surrounding area. So I remember when Craig Biggio first came up, being from Long Island, he was a guy that I kind of watched and had heard a lot about, of being a guy who could be an impact catcher at the time, and then wound up, of course, moving to second base and having a great career. And I've always been a big fan of Biggio, and now getting to meet him and getting to know him a little bit makes me an even bigger fan of his, because I can see now why he was so great for so long and why he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
All right, well, sounds good, guys. Now, you mentioned Berkman.
Yes.
Let me see, where's Berkman here? Berkman bobblehead. This is one of the giveaways for this weekend, and I need you guys to critique this one, first of all.
Well, too skinny, but I think it's because of the because of the pinstripes, and obviously that great left-handed swing. He was a switch hitter, one of the best Astros hitters of all time, one of the best switch hitters of all time. A lot of people, you can put him up against the switch hitters of all time, and he ranks right up there.
Okay, what do you think?
I like it. I like how he has the straight front leg. That was always one of his big things, hitting off that front leg. It's a really good look. I think now they need to give one out with the right-handed swing to complete the set.
True, and I don't know if the face, though. I'm not sure if I buy the face too much, but still, pretty good job there.
Like Jay Leno. He's got a big chin.
And just so you know, when you do get the bobblehead, it doesn't cut. You can take the bat out; it comes separately. So earlier, I put it up there, and Robert goes, "Where's the bat?" So we found this in the case. So just know that very nifty here that it comes separately there. Okay, and then here we have Roy Oswalt. What do you guys think of this one?
The first thing I noticed is Roy was 6 foot tall, and he had one of the longest strides. He had a stride as long as some guy that was about 6'5", and I think that's what caused a lot of deception in his delivery, and I think they got it perfectly on that.
Yeah, really good form. I like the touch of the All-Star Game patch on the sleeve from when Houston hosted the All-Star Game. I like the elbow. What is that? Is that a four-seamer he's throwing?
That's a two-seamer.
He's throwing a two-seamer. Threw a lot of four-seamers, but that's okay. We'll cut him some slack. But a really, really good look, and I agree with Steve about the stride. That definitely captures that long stride.
And both these guys look very skinny on their bobbleheads, so some good high praise there. And then, on Sunday you're gonna end it up with the Andy Pettitte jersey. So there you go, people.
Fantastic.
It's nice there. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining me, and you're doing a great job. Keep it up, and until next time, we'll see you on Astros Scoop.